Ladies and gentlemen, after finally giving My Hero Academia a second chance and binge watching the entire series before its final season, I can confidently say that this show is goated. And what perfect timing it was for Bandai Namco and Viking to release its third and final installment of their Once Justice game series, All's Justice, which featured even more characters and updated the game with newer content for fans to enjoy. A couple years ago, I made a review for Once Justice 2, and I will admit, I wasn't exactly pleased with the game as a whole. I thought it was just another cash grab for Bandai Namco, but after playing All's Justice, I think the developers took note on a couple of things the fans had critiqued and made it their mission to improve the gameplay, which they did a pretty good job at. The rest, meh. Back in Once Justice 2, whenever you would start a match, the game was formatted in a way that you would only play as one main character, paired up with two sidekicks that could be summoned to use special attacks. However, this time around, All's Justice transitioned into a 3v3 team arena fighter, where you and your opponent were able to switch between characters to execute extended combo attacks. You could either play with normal controls, which would automatically create combos for you, but limit your playstyle, or play manually, which offers more freedom in putting moves together. It gives you more of a challenge in doing so. Me? I chose manual control because it's high risk, high reward. Plus, it feels more satisfying knowing I'm in control of my characters. Each character has its own health bar, and the player must be more strategic when pairing characters to create effective combos. And this game heavily expects you as the player to use their tag team system, because how else are you going to create some of the dopest combos known to man with just one character? You can't. Well, you can, but it's not as effective. On top of that, the game removed a couple of other features to make the gameplay more grounded, like removing the double jump from Once Justice 2 and replacing it with a downward dash, so the game doesn't feel floaty, which I know I was certainly happy about. The gameplay felt smoother and much faster, which, compared to the previous installment, was easily no contest between the two I've played. The fact that there were 68 characters in the base game, each with a unique playstyle, allowed them to express their own identities and quirks. All's Justice even introduced an awakening system called Rising, where each person is granted a unique power-up with increased speed and attack power, and sometimes even a change in appearance. While in their awakened state, they can't be tagged out, so that's usually something to consider while using them. For the ultimate attacks, or as the game calls it, Plus Ultra, you're actually limited to using only one ultimate attack, in contrast to Once Justice 2, where you could use two depending on its level. This was kind of a letdown because even though I did find some of the level 2 attacks way too long for my liking, it did eliminate some of the cinematic feel for the game, which I feel like Viking could have done by shortening the animation. There were even team attacks removed from the game that showcased each character's relationship and quirks, which was another disappointment. And the only character that has a second Plus Ultra attack in All's Justice is Shoto when he's using his Rising form. Everyone else is stuck with a single repetitive attack that grows dull over time. Even the intros received a revamp, where instead of having an old cinematic entrance, you're left with just seeing their awkward animations before the matches begin. It does suck that a lot of what brought the characters to life outside of fighting wasn't reintroduced, because it would have been nice to see new team attacks, intros, and so much more. Still, all in all, I really did enjoy playing the new combat system. The attacks responded much better, the gameplay looked visually amazing, and the large variety of unique characters allows anyone to experiment with combos endlessly. And with the gameplay, players were able to experience different game modes, like the story, for example. The story picks up during the final act of the War Arc, following different perspectives of major characters from the series, and was easily the best story mode I've experienced in the game. While now including some of the CGI scenes, the developers made All's Justice feel more cinematic for its grand finale, which I found well made and immersive while playing. Of course, that didn't mean we escaped from the lazy anime screenshot cutscenes, which, let's be honest, if Bandai Namco can cut corners to save money, they're gonna do it.
You know, a lot of people ask why. Why treat the customer this way? Why? Because f*** them, that's why.
The story did reach a point where it had surpassed the anime during development, so all the scenes meant for Season 8 ended up as live 2D art in replacement of the screenshots. It might just be me, but the art style was throwing me off whenever I was playing. Like, look at this. What the hell even is that? Also, the voice acting in this game was super top notch. It was executed extremely well for the emotional moments of the story, like the battle between Shoto and his brother Dabi, Bakugo versus Shigaraki, and even Uraraka and Toga. They were acting their asses off, to the point where I was wondering if the developers decided to rip the voice lines straight from the anime and place them into the game themselves. The AI in the story mode also gave me a fair challenge when I was learning to play the game, and showed no mercy when it came to overwhelming me with attacks. Every time I died was a moment for me to adjust the way I played, and learned a little bit more about the game system. And I'm glad that the game didn't hold my hand when it came to these challenges. It was either you get good or it was simply a skill issue. Up until the final boss fight against All For One. Hey, Viking? Quick question. When developing the final boss fight for this game, did you have, I don't know, Satan as a reference or something? Because why the hell did you design a level where you remove the fundamentals of the base game and allow this guy to f*** me? Please, tell me why I had to go through the entire gauntlet of Class 1A just to die as Deku and reset from the very beginning repeatedly for 3+ hours. I did beat him though, so there's that. After finishing the story, the game had additional content available to play, so let's take a look, shall we? Before you can select any of the other features in the game, you first spawn into a small hub area known as the main stage, allowing you to play as Deku and explore around using his quirk to swing and select different game modes. However, you can also open the smartphone menu, which lists every mode that can be selected much faster. So I rarely use the open stage as an open space to explore. That, and because there was already a game mode called Team Up Mission, where Deku and his two classmates could explore semi-open world virtual reality to train. Each level would have a main mission that would require you to complete, along with some unique missions from different heroes and side quests from civilians. On paper, it was a great idea. Who wouldn't want to play a game where you could play as Deku and other students from Class 1A doing hero work around the city? That sounds like a dream game all on its own. But it wasn't. The game mode got boring and repetitive very quickly, with many missions being fetch quests or fighting armored opponents that weren't difficult but were a waste of time. I think the game understood how tedious a lot of these missions were because as you complete heroes quests, you can use them as assist characters to automatically finish side missions for you. I also spent a lot of time skipping dialogue since I've already done them and just wanted to get the S rank and rewards for each level I completed. This game mode also seemed to have some performance issues. Whenever the level or time of day changed, the world would start to lag a bit and take forever to load. There are a couple of challenges that the team up missions included, like the unique time trials for some of the students and even battles, but that wasn't enough to keep me engaged with this game mode. Next game mode was the archive battles, where you could relive previous fights that happened in the series, and honestly, it wasn't that bad. It's exactly what it says it is, and I like the fact that it even brought in the challenge to beat your opponent in a certain amount of time to get an S rank. I like some of the occasional CGI cutscenes, and it was great to relive some of my favorite fights from the anime, like All Might vs. All For One. There was one problem though. All's Justice, for some reason, heavily tied a lot of the game modes to team up missions, so to actually unlock more archive battles, you were required to complete team up mission levels. And that was a dilemma. If the developers allowed you to unlock an archive after completing the previous battle, that would be great, but no. It's quite literally held hostage by team up missions and its boring ass levels. Even the Hero's Diary game mode requires you to have played the team up missions to unlock different characters from 1A to experience each of their personal day in the life scenarios. This is more suited for people who are heavily involved with the series and its characters, so if you're someone who's a fan of Koda, Ojiro, or even Mineta, this one's for you. I did find Ida's missions kind of funny, dealing with the Nomu from virtual reality. He takes a pretty massive trip near the end. And finally, there were the other two game modes, online and free battles, where you could fight against people in real life and the CPU. Both worked very smoothly, and there wasn't much to complain about either. But I didn't like the stages. The fact that the only stages available were the maps from the story mode was so disappointing, especially when there were other maps from the archive game mode that could have easily been transferred over. Not only that, you're not even able to select which map you want to be on during online mode, so if you get stuck on a trash map full of rubble, sucks to suck. And I know this game mode is intended to play as a 3v3 tag team fighter, but still, it was a missed opportunity to let us play in 1v1 or 2v2, especially since that was possible in the story and other game modes. Other than that, again, combat was smooth, but damn, Bandai, stop cutting corners. Of course, your characters gotta look good when fighting as well, so in this game, All's Justice brought back the customization feature, and you'll never believe what Bandai did once again. They cut the goddamn corners again. Instead of having the ability to customize each part of your costume from your head to your toes like in One's Justice 2, the game has set costumes for each character in different colorways, which I found to be lazy. Instead, they shifted their focus to customizing the different poses your character's gonna do, their banners, and even your profile. Not to forget the additional costume DLC that people have to purchase if they want to add a little more variety to the game. That sort of thing is garbage, and I can't see why they would put certain things behind a paywall other than to take advantage of anime fans that support their games no matter what. I'm even surprised they decided not to feature certain costumes like Vigilante Deku, for example. He's playable in the archive mode, but not an unlockable skin. I'm hoping he becomes available as a free update later down the line, but the fact that he wasn't already in the base game says a lot. After completing this game, I can definitely say that All's Justice is a step up from its predecessors. The combat was much better, the story was more engaging, and the fact that each character had their own unique moveset opened up a lot more creativity for me to enjoy. Unfortunately, some of the other game modes were limited by the team-up levels, but when I finally relived some of the major moments from My Hero, they definitely hit me with nostalgia. Did Viking make some great steps to improve their final game of the series? Yeah. But did it result with some major leaps back? Most certainly. But if you're someone who really loves My Hero Academia and the story that's been told, I definitely think this game is worth a shot when the price drops. This is a solid 3D arena fighter, and if you never played the previous One's Justice games, you wouldn't even know what's missing. But if you've already bought All's Justice, let me know what your thought on the game is and who do you main? And of course, if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends while you're at it. With that being said, take care everyone.